We have Denver and the hail risk this afternoon. Ping pong ball size hail possible in Denver. If you go a little bit farther to the east into western Nebraska, that's when you get into that larger up to tennis ball size hail. Here in just a few minutes, but I want to get you a look at what we're seeing at the moment. We have a cold front that stretches anywhere from Minnesota all the way through South Dakota, Nebraska, and into Colorado. This is going to help the initiation for storms later on today. I am very impressed with the storm setup today. Let's take a look at your significant hail model. What you're looking for here is you're looking for these deeper yellows, oranges, and maybe even some reds. That means larger hail sizes. So where do we see that today? Your eye goes right to the northeast corner of Colorado and into western Nebraska. That is where I have outlined for your largest hail sizes today. Let's go ahead and watch. Let's actually zoom down. Let's zoom down because I know a lot of people have questions about Denver. Denver, what is your hail chance for hail sizes today? What I saw on there were maybe some orange colors, so that's usually right around the ping pong, maybe up to golf ball size hail. But I would say ping pong ball size hail for today, if you're lucky, in Denver. Let's go ahead and move on, talk about the largest hail size that we could see in the U.S. I went ahead and said hen egg to tennis ball size hail today, and the reason that I did that is because the storms in Nebraska are looking pretty impressive. So I would say northeastern Colorado into Nebraska, that's where I pinpointed for the largest hailstones today, anywhere between that hen egg to tennis ball size hail. As we put some cities and your risk level on the board as well, what we're looking at here is Denver to get widespread showers and storms later on this afternoon and evening. McCook and western Nebraska also with that widespread showers and storms. You're going to also have a tornado risk in this area and a high wind risk as well. So we'll get into that here in just a few minutes. Now, as you can see, we've got a lot of cities on the board here, and we're actually about to add Iowa into that wind risk as well. So let us know where you're watching from today. Where do you want us to focus the forecast? I definitely have some focus in Denver. Later on in the forecast, we'll talk about each of these areas individual, but we'll try to spend more time on areas where we know you guys are watching from. We've highlighted some areas here in red. All hazards possible today, and we're going to go ahead and break down each individual hazard of each of these regions. Let's go ahead and let's start in the northern plains, central plains area. We're going to start in Colorado. We're going to start in Nebraska, and I've actually highlighted the area where I think you're going to see the most and most impactful storms. We're going to start about 3 o'clock this afternoon. So we've got showers ongoing right now, none of those severe. One more time, give it a few hours, and then we'll see more storms in this area go severe. Most of these storms are going to start just to the west of I-25 and then up to the north, right along the northern edge of this risk right here. And then they're going to track to the east through the overnight hours in multiple different directions. So I'm going to go through this pretty slowly here, and I want you to see how we're going to see a few storms up to the north, a few storms out to the west of I-25 here, and then it's going to become more widespread as we head into the evening hours past dinner time. Again, with that most likely area for most impactful storms highlighted there in yellow. And I know Denver, you guys are cut off a little bit by this map. We're going to get down into a Denver specific forecast in just a minute. But I really want to focus on this line of storms right here, which starts isolated at first, and that's where that hail comes in. That large hail up to tennis ball size hail today. High winds are also going to be a factor, especially later on in the evening and overnight hours. Do you see this bowing area right here where it's kind of making this backwards C-shaped? That's a signature of high winds right through the central portion of Nebraska. As we head farther down to the south, we can see that tornado risk increase as well. So we'll have to keep an eye on this entire area as we have all hazards possible. Now, I told you we'd get right down into Denver, and it didn't take long. I'm going to go ahead and show your Denver specific forecast, because what we're talking about in Denver, Colorado today is maximum hail size up to ping pong ball size hail. And your chance for 1-inch hail, I kept that at a level 2 on a scale of 4. So I would say since you have scattered showers and storms, a few of those will go severe, and then that'll produce some hail. One of the biggest risks that we see in Denver today is that hail risk. Storms will go up around 3 o'clock this afternoon just to the west of I-25. A scene that you see very, very often. These storms will continue to track across the highway as we head into the late afternoon hours and into the overnight hours tonight. Now, just a reminder here, our time is in Central Daylight Time. It is not in Mountain Time. I know we can't change it on our system. That's just what we have. So just do the math and go, 4 to 8 o'clock is going to be your timeline in Denver, okay? There you go. Okay, so Denver, Colorado, again, you have widespread scattered showers and storms by 4 to 5 o'clock this evening. You're headed home from work. You're probably seeing those tall building clouds in the distance, or you're getting rained on. So this could impact your evening commute. This will most likely be over by about 7 to 8 o'clock tonight. The severe risk goes down drastically after that. However, the rain could linger as we head into the overnight hours. I'm not too concerned about the severity of these storms as the sun goes down. There's your hail forecast for Denver. Let me know if you want any other, or you want me to go back and talk about timeline again. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and move on to your wind forecast today. 60 to 70 mile per hour wind speeds possible. We are now adding Iowa and portions of northern Missouri just to the north of KC in this risk as well. So we have an all hazards risk, not only for wind, hail, but also a tornado risk here. I want to go ahead and fast forward to that tornado risk. We've got one area, it's a tiny area out in Virginia Beach for a tornado today. Go back to Colorado. There you go. Colorado and Nebraska. There's your level 1 risk for an isolated or brief tornado later on this afternoon and evening. Again, the timeline that I'm giving here for tornado risk will be about 10 to 11 o'clock tonight. I'm extending that tornado risk for some of these Nebraska storms that are going to be lasting into the late, if not overnight hours tonight. Moving on here, now this is your storm risk coming from the SPC. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the wind risk later on tonight and into the overnight hours, later on this evening and into tonight. Iowa and northern Missouri here, you're going to see these storms pop up right along I-35 and I-235. These are going to go up fast. It's rush hour. You're headed home from work. All of a sudden, you're seeing storms accumulate in the northern portion of Missouri and southern portion of Iowa. The biggest hazard that I see here is that high wind risk. We could see some strong wind gusts in this area. Meanwhile, again, through those overnight hours, we've got just a line of storms that are still moving through the central portion of Nebraska and then out to the east in places like Omaha by early tomorrow morning. Dathan has a great question. What's the hail risk for Nebraska today? Now, I have a question for you. Where in Nebraska? Because if you talk about the western side of Nebraska, you have a really good chance for hail. If you talk about the central to eastern side of Nebraska, your hail risk goes down drastically. Here's a look at your hail forecast for Nebraska today. We're going to put some cities on here. McCook, I have you in the level 2. I know there's not a ton of cities that are hugging this highway right here, but right along the highway, I think I would even raise that to a level 3 risk for hail today. And then, of course, if you talk hail sizes, I would go up to 2-inch, which is about the size of an egg, to tennis ball size hail in this area right here. So if you look at southwestern Nebraska, you have a great chance for hail today. If you go farther to the central and eastern side of the state, your hail risk goes down. And if you look at the timeline, you can really see the difference in storm mode here. Because if we go through this timeline, you're going to start to see some really isolated storms out in the western side of the state. But then as we go into the late overnight hours, these storms become a lot more widespread, and they congeal into this line right through the central portion of the state. And that's whenever we shift from that hail to the wind risk. Just a reminder that there's a tornado risk during this time as well. So we could see that tornado risk, especially as we get into the evening hours about, I said earlier, 5 to 11. If you really want to narrow that timeline, maybe we would say closer to 7 to 10. And there you go. There's your isolated storms right now that start around 3 to 5 o'clock. You can see how widespread all of those storms get as they congeal into a line and they shift from more of that hail to that wind risk in the central portion of the state.